be immediately visible, but they are happening. The director and I are committed to stamping out public corruption and the political weaponization of both law enforcement and intelligence operations. And goes on to say, I can promise you an honest and dignified effort at the truth, not my truth, your truth, but the truth.
This comes as the Trump administration is suing sanctuary cities to end their policies protecting illegal migrants from ICE. President Trump pushing for a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine as talks stall and the war continues. Fox's Stephanie Bennett in London.
Earlier this month, he threatened heavy new sanctions on Russia and also on countries that buy its exports unless a ceasefire deal is reached within 50 days. He's also planning to send more weapons over to Kyiv. Meanwhile, during their third rounds of talks in Turkey Wednesday, which lasted less than an hour, delegates from Russia and Ukraine agreed to a prisoner swap, but they made little progress on ceasefire terms. Ukraine proposed a meeting between their presidents for August, but Russia's delegate said a face-to-face meeting between Putin and Zelensky would only be appropriate to sign an agreement, and renewed Moscow's call for a series of short ceasefire to enable the retrieval of bodies.
This comes as the war intensifies with both sides launching attacks yesterday. America is listening to Fox News.
Stay on top of the latest forecast with America's Weather Team in the palm of your hands.
Here's the latest from America's Weather Center.
It's Fox weather updates throughout your busy day, every day.
That heat's going to be out there for one more day.
Temperatures being 30 degrees above average.
Put the power of over 100 meteorologists and the worldwide resources of Fox in your hands with the Fox Weather Podcast. Precise, personal, powerful. Subscribe and listen now at foxnewspodcasts.com. Connect to Fox News Audio on the Fox News app. Listen to hear your favorite hosts like Brian Kilmeade, Jimmy Fallon, and Guy Benson standing up for what's right, live and via podcast. Just click listen, then swipe right and hear the latest news updates on your time. And scroll down to hear the latest podcasts from Fox News. And it's even easier to listen in the car with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Get programming alerts and notifications. Fox News Audio is on the Fox News app. The voices America trusts. Download it now.
The FAA and
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Causing problems over multiple years. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending this hour. The man who shot at police and was then shot himself for shooting his wife Thursday morning was a convicted felon. Jake McDaniel reports.
Walter McNary was arrested over a decade ago for violating his probation on drug charges. Then in 2012, he woke up his wife Nola, hit her, choked her, and threatened to kill her. Fast forward 13 years later, McNary shot and killed Nola on North Ritter Avenue on Indy's northeast side. Officers then shot McNary after a police chase.
You see signs in a domestic dispute, it's kind of just run, because one sign can be the sign of many bad signs.
Nola's friend Monica told Wish TV losing her friend was unexpected. Jake McDaniel, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A man is dead after being shot in a neighborhood on the northwest side of Indianapolis Friday night. IMPD is now investigating. A Bloomington man is accused of threatening to strike two girls with a rock and forcing them to walk multiple miles without food or water. The 10 and 12-year-old girls were reportedly injured during the incident. Patrick McCoy faces charges of neglect of a dependent, resisting law enforcement, battery of a law enforcement officer, and criminal mischief. The Fever can build on their win from Thursday as they take on the Chicago Sky Sunday afternoon. Caitlin Clark is unlikely to play with an injured groin. And the NASCAR Cup Series is in the racing capital of the world this weekend. Green flag for the Brickyard 400 on Sunday is set to wave at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Tonight, scattered showers and storms mainly early on, lows in the mid-70s. And for Sunday, high temperatures in the mid to upper 80s, but very muggy. Scattered showers and storms still possible. On Wish TV, Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
From marshmallow festivals to fireworks on the shore. No matter where you're headed this summer, Hubler's got you covered for 100,000 miles. During Hubler's Freedom to Drive, shop any of our 13 locations. And choose from Chevys, Fords, Toyotas, GMCs, Buicks, Nissans, Acuras, Mazdas, Hondas, and more. Over 2,000 vehicles. All makes, all models, certified vehicles, luxury vehicles, even the hard-to-find ones. Plus, every Hubler Q-certified vehicle is covered by a 128-point vehicle inspection and a free Carfax history report.
'Cause Hubler's got you covered.
No matter where you're headed this summer, Hubler's got you covered for 100,000 miles during our Freedom to Drive. Visit drivehubler.com or any of our 13 locations.
Cover me!
Warranty on select models less than 9 years old.
Our show Expedition Retirement now has a new name. Join us for Fire Your Financial Advisor, Sunday mornings at 7 on WIBC.
Through their service, veterans have our backs. Now we should have theirs. Learn more at gotyoursix.org.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment, and this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And good afternoon and welcome to the Gun Guy Show here on 93 WIBC. Thrilled to have you with us. A lot to talk about, lot going on the 2A landscape that I'm excited to get into. Interesting case that just came out of Beech Grove. New criminal case filed in Marion County. This got some publicity yesterday. I posted about it on my Twitter or X account. And you can check that out at Guy Relford. If you haven't followed me there, please do. Trying to build that following. But it got a lot of attention in the media. Hammer and Nigel talked about it a little bit, and I'm sure we'll visit it on Monday, Gun Day, on Hammer and Nigel at 3:35 on Monday. But this is a case where a person has now been arrested, a gentleman named Jonathan Mosier of Beech Grove, after a lady called 911 and reported that Mosier, who was somewhat of a neighbor, lived there close to her in Beech Grove, had shot her cat. And listen, when I teach the Essentials of Indiana gun law class that you hear me pitching often here on the Gun Guy Show, whenever I get into the issue of defending your animals or what force is justified, say if someone's trying to hurt your animal and you want to prevent it, if there's anything where people get upset about the state of the law and often want to argue with me, understandably, is when I tell them what is and isn't justified and legal when it comes to defending your pets. And this is a little different issue here, which is what crime is involved if someone else injures or, God forbid, as happened in this case, Jonathan Mosier allegedly, according to authorities, and he's now been booked, and there's a criminal case pending in Marion County for actually killing this cat. And it's a level 6 felony. It's killing a domestic animal. If you knowingly kill a domestic animal without consent, I'm sure that rules out euthanasia and whatnot of your animal, but you kill a domestic animal intentionally, that's a level 6 felony. And so what's interesting about this case, and probably why it got the amount of attention that it did, is the Fox 59 headline that a lot of us saw, and this is the article that I posted on X, says that he's claiming self-defense against the cat. He said he was walking his dog, and this is all according to the Fox 59 report, which, again, you can find on my Twitter or X account. I should do what Tony Cass does. He just always says Twitter X, and that way he's covered, no matter what people happen to be calling it these days. But as posted on my Twitter X, I'll go with that, the Fox 59 article says he was walking his dog. He was reportedly walking his dog, according to Mr. Mosier, and the cat attacked them. And the initial report that he gave to police after the cat owner found her cat shot and dead and called 911, the initial report that Mr. Mosier gave was that the cat had attacked him and his dog, and he was acting in self-defense. And the article referred to the fact that authorities saw that he had some scratches on one arm, which would apparently support his claim of self-defense. And what I've mentioned in my class, my Essentials of Indiana Gun Law class, several times, and people never like hearing this, is that the law of self-defense and the particular justification for the use of force, including deadly force, in self-defense, the law of self-defense in Indiana and the self-defense statute, if you want to read it, you pull it right up, just Google it. It's 35-41-3-2. And there's several different subsections. One I call the General Self-Defense Statutes, and subsection C talks about what would apply here outside your home. And it talks about using force, including deadly force, to prevent serious bodily injury to you or another person. But it says against another person. There's no mention in the self-defense statute in terms of justifying the use of deadly force or any force at all. There's no mention of animals. It's just not in there. And whenever I mention that to people, people tend to get upset saying, hold on. And I've had a bunch of cases, and I'll get into this here on the show, because it's a recurrent issue, and a lot of people in Indiana have faced this. People say, hold on, I'm out walking my dog, or I'm on a walk or a bicycle ride with my wife, and listen, I get it. I have bicycled and walked a lot. My wife and I will go out, we'll go on long walks around our Zionsville neighborhood. And we have, on many occasions, gone out bicycling. And people then, either from experience or hypothetically, say, hold on, an aggressive dog comes at me, snarling and barking and rushing at me. Or one gentleman called me and said he was out taking a walk with his granddaughter. It's like 4-year-old granddaughter. And they're just toddling along, minding their own business, and a great big angry dog. I don't like to name breeds, by the way. I'm a dog lover, and as I may have mentioned over the years, and people want to demonize certain breeds of dogs. I don't really believe in that. I think there are many more bad dog owners than there are bad dog breeds. But a big, aggressive dog, typically associated with a trained guard dog, comes rushing at him and his granddaughter from across someone's yard, slobbering and snarling and barking and rushing straight at them. He says, are you telling me I can't shoot that dog? And that's not what I'm saying, and I'll get into more detail on this because, again, it's a recurrent issue. I mean, how many of us, especially at my advanced old age, haven't spent a lot of time outdoors, a lot of times walking around, running. I'm kind of past my running days. My knees don't get real happy if I go out and try to jog. I still try it on occasion and usually regret the hell out of it. But having done that a lot over the years as a recovering athlete from in my younger days, I've had a lot of aggressive dogs. I've been bit by dogs on a couple of different occasions. I got one pretty decent scar on one calf from when I was a kid. Dog came up, got a hold of my calf, wouldn't let go, tore me up pretty good. So it's a recurrent issue. So what I'm saying is not so much that there's nothing you can do. What I'm saying is you can't claim self-defense because self-defense doesn't apply. And so what happens if you, let's say, shoot an aggressive dog? Are you going to jail? Well, a case that I've defended now multiple times, I'd have to add them up, going back through my files, I'd say probably 7 or 8 times. In my 43 years as a lawyer, a case I've now repeatedly defended is someone who shoots at or shoots an aggressive dog in a residential area, or at least somewhere where there are other houses, other people around. And they've been prosecuted, the cases I've had, been prosecuted for criminal recklessness with a deadly weapon. Not so much for shooting the dog, which is the issue in Mr. Mosier's case in Beech Grove, which we'll get back into. But because by shooting a gun in a residential area where there are other people in the immediate area or in the direction of other people or in close proximity to another person, then that gunshot, even though they were shooting or shooting at an aggressive animal, actually endangered someone in the area. And for that reason, constitutes criminal recklessness with a deadly weapon, which is a level 6 felony. And they've said, hold on, I wasn't shooting at or near any other person. I was shooting the angry, snarling, barking, aggressive dog trying to maim me or a loved one. I didn't endanger anyone, but they've been prosecuted and they've had to hire a lawyer. That's no fun. And it can certainly be expensive. Does that mean they're guilty? Oh, hell no. In fact, I've never seen one of those cases result in an actual criminal conviction. And I can go into why that is. But then there's a separate problem that Mr. Mosier has in Beech Grove, and I'm not saying he's guilty of anything. I think the facts of that, especially since he had scratches on his arm, and hey, listen, I've been, I hate to admit it, yes, I've been attacked by a cat before. Now, it was my sister's cat, and it leapt off the top of the refrigerator late at night when I was raiding the refrigerator for a snack. And I'm sure that I had, as a young teenager at the time, inspired the hostility displayed by that cat under the circumstances. I didn't like the cat. I still don't like cats. And I wasn't particularly friendly toward the cat. The cat didn't like me. I didn't like the cat. And so one night I was getting into the refrigerator, and from on top of the refrigerator, it was a black cat. I couldn't see it up there. All of a sudden, I see this thing, all four legs extended and claws fully engaged. This thing's descending on my head. And it was not a pleasant experience. And it took quite a bit of energy to get the thing off me and get its claws out of me. So are you legally defenseless if attacked by an animal, and in this case, a cat? Not necessarily. That's what we'll go into. And as we always do, take your calls with questions or comments. 317-239-9393. 317-239-9393. And by the way, I'm just getting into the discussion. Don't draw any conclusions. Don't send me angry messages, whether it's on the YouTube feed or otherwise, about I must be an idiot because I'm saying you can't defend yourself. That's not what I'm saying. And there's more to the discussion. I'm just saying that self-defense, quote unquote, in Indiana does not include defending yourself against an animal because it's simply not in the self-defense statute. But we'll get into more of what alternative issues there are and another argument that can certainly be made with success in Indiana when we come back. Give us a call. Join the discussion. 317-239-9393. 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Another update is just minutes away.
Jeffrey Epstein controversy. Ghislaine Maxwell. She answered all the questions truthfully.
Hear the news.
Biden White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain. Cognitive decline was covered up.
As events happen.
Heat indices going up to triple digits.
We'll happen to be there.
Get yourself in some air conditioning. Try to limit your time outdoors. Stay hydrated.
Heat like this through at least next week.
On the level.
Several people shot across Indianapolis.
On the go.
Taken to the hospital.
93 WIBC Mobile News.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. You know, I mentioned my Essentials of Indiana gun law class. Got a couple of those coming up. I'm actually going to add one on September 30th. It's not on the website yet. I'll have it on there before the end of the show. But there's currently one at Parabellum Firearms and Indoor Range on Kingston Street in Avon. If you like 4.5 to 5 hours, the most important legal information that you need as an Indiana gun owner, that's exactly what you can get at Essentials of Indiana Gun Law, Saturday, October 18th at Parabellum Firearms and Indoor Range in Avon. It's $50 for an individual, $95 for couples. We'd love to see you there. It's a detailed discussion of the law to self-defense, how to avoid commonly prosecuted crimes that I'm discussing right now on the show, including criminal recklessness with a deadly weapon, intimidation with a deadly weapon, and pointing a firearm, which is a crime in Indiana. That and a whole heck of a lot more over 4.5 to 5 hours. Join the discussion or join the class by registering online at tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
It's time. You've been putting off that kitchen or bath remodel long enough. What are you waiting for? Get started today with Boer Remodeling. Boer Remodeling customer Kathy had a bath remodel with Boer. Kathy, talk a little bit about your experience.
Our experience with Boer has been terrific. The process was so easy and seamless. When we decided to do a larger remodel of our first floor, Boer was the first company we thought of hiring.
And were you happy with the results?
The results are amazing, and we are so happy with our home and the work that Boer did.
Peter is another recent Boer Remodeling customer with a new kitchen. Peter, what was the best part about working with Boer?
We especially liked the active participation that we were able to have in selection of stone for the countertops. Really came out beautiful. The cabinets also came out very, very well.
The best materials, the most skilled craftsmen in Central Indiana. They'll guide you through the entire process. Start with a free consultation. Talk to Boer Remodeling today. That's BOOHER, BoerRemodeling.com.
Comcast Business High Five Hotline. What's the state of your excitement?
I signed my business up for the 5-year price lock guarantee, and I can't stop high-fiving people. High five!
Okay,
Ooh,
deep breath.
High five.
You're in a good place. You signed your business up for 5 years of gig speed internet and advanced security, all on our ultra-reliable network.
Gig speeds and advanced security? I'm so stoked.
Yep, and you get it at a great rate that's locked in for 5 years.
Woo!
The high five is just your body's way of saying, I'm winning.
So this is natural.
High-fiving everyone you see in a state of business savings enthusiasm? Totally natural.
Sweet! Thank you! Thank you! High five, everybody! High five!
The Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee is back, but only for a limited time, so sign your business up today.
High five!
Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 9/21/25. New customers only. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
You hear that? That's Mike sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. That's because Mike was smart this time. He took ZzzQuil Ultra to fall asleep fast, stay asleep longer, and get the deeply restorative sleep he needs. So now he wakes up refreshed and ready to conquer Mondays.
Let's do this Monday.
ZzzQuil Ultra. Not for colds, just for sleep. Really great sleep. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Career changers, including veterans and active duty service members. Your transition starts here. Go from GI to IT in a matter of months. Become a certified cyber warrior with training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, offering IT pros great opportunities and a rewarding lifestyle while protecting our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. Deploy your career in IT today at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
Road trip! This summer at Tire Discounters, your tires are your passport to savings, because you're driving to Paris.
Texas!
Then it's off to Rome.
Georgia!
And you'll be kissing the Blarney Stone in Dublin.
Ohio!
Right now, save up to $434 when you buy 4 tires, and that includes a free alignment and oil change. Stop at Tire Discounters before you see the world.
Pierce Jewelers, Carmel's family-owned jewelry store, is dedicated to quality and fine craftsmanship. Let them help you celebrate that special moment in your life. Shop local, shop smart, shop Pierce Jewelers.
Find the path to recovery that works for you. Learn more at cdc.gov/stopoverdose.
Second to none on the Second Amendment. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. And we talked about the case of Oreo was the name of the cat in Beech Grove that was killed by a gentleman who's now being charged with intentional killing of a domestic animal, which is a felony. And I don't have any problem with that, by the way. Like I said, I'm a dog owner. Currently have 2 dogs in my house. Beautiful golden retriever that my son Craig actually owns. Love that dog. And I have a totally unidentifiable mutt named Wrigley, who's also, even though nobody can figure out what kind of breed she is a fabulous dog as well. And listen, if somebody attempts to do harm to my dog, they're going to have a problem if I'm anywhere in the area. But what's the law around this area? Now, again, the gentleman who's being charged with a crime Mr. Jonathan Mosier, I believe it is, in Beech Grove, is claiming self-defense. Well, self-defense, as I mentioned before the break, isn't included in the self-defense statute as far as justifying the use of force, or in this case, deadly force against an animal, only force against another person. So does that mean you're completely out of luck? I'm walking along and an aggressive dog comes and tries to attack me, attack my wife or another loved one. Again, something tugs at my heartstrings. I have 5 grandkids. When my grandkids is with me, and a snarling, slobbering, barking, aggressive dog tries to hurt one of my grandkids, I'm sorry, the dog's going to get hurt. It's going to get hurt every time. But what are the legal ramifications of that? Self-defense isn't really on the table. So am I completely out of luck? Well, the answer is no. Indiana has another doctrine, and this is a matter of common law, meaning it's not in the self-defense statute. It is created by case law, but it makes all the sense in the world, and it's called the doctrine of necessity. And people don't hear a lot about this. In fact, I just decided after looking at this cat case in Beech Grove, it's filed in Marion County, I thought, you know what, I need to include this. And we always struggle to get the course completely in the time allotted for Essentials of Indiana Gun Law, but I think this is an important point. And I think it makes the grade for what I consider to be an essential point of Indiana gun law. And it's the first time I've discussed it here on the Gun Guy Show, which is the doctrine of necessity says you can do something that would otherwise be illegal if it is necessary under the circumstances and results in lesser harm. This is lesser harm in a cosmic sense, lesser harm to everyone involved than if you didn't do the illegal thing. So it's a really common sense example. Because it's not self-defense, it's different than that. Let's say someone, an unarmed, defenseless person is being attacked in a road rage situation, and they're being pursued, and they've done nothing to instigate this. They're not the initial aggressor, but someone's chasing them in a way that puts them in fear of dying. Or let's go to the next level. So we're not just talking about classic road rage, which I've talked about many times, but someone's actually, say, shooting at them as they're driving around 465. And that person then drives very, very fast in a way that could easily be called reckless driving, which is a crime, but they're doing so simply to get away. It's not self-defense because they're not using force against another person, but they meet the definition of criminal recklessness, not criminal recklessness, reckless driving, because of how fast they're driving and the manner in which they're driving, simply trying to get away because someone's shooting at them. If they got prosecuted for reckless driving, they could say, hold on, under the circumstances, getting shot, dying from a gunshot wound on the highway from someone actively shooting at me was the much greater harm, was likely to result for me driving too fast on the interstate. Now, a jury could look at that and say they'd reject that because the greater harm could be causing a multi-car pileup and killing multiple people. And that's a greater harm than would have resulted from you simply getting shot. So the jury, if you were prosecuted and brought to trial, would be free to reject that argument. But it's an argument you can make. And an actual better argument is in the context we're talking about, which is, yes, I'm shooting at an animal. Now, that is that intentional killing of a domestic animal? Well, yeah, it's a domestic animal. It's a dog, for instance, or in this case, a cat. Certainly appears to be a domestic animal, and I'm shooting at it, so am I intentionally trying to kill it? Well, yes, I'm using a firearm to shoot a dog or a cat. Logic would indicate that I'm likely to kill it if I shoot it. But can I argue necessity? Can I argue necessity because that aggressive dog, or Oreo, the trained attack cat in Beech Grove, was trying to injure me, and the greater harm would have been getting mauled, or again, very compelling argument, my young granddaughter getting mauled by an aggressive dog, it was the much greater harm to allow her to be mauled or killed, as opposed to killing the dog, which instigated the event, owned by a person who didn't follow local ordinances by keeping the dog contained in the yard or otherwise on a leash. So the greater harm would have resulted from my granddaughter getting mauled, which would allow me then to do something that would otherwise be illegal under the doctrine of necessity. That's how that works. Now, is that a lay-down defense in every case? Is a prosecutor like Ryan Mears going to buy that necessarily? All open questions. It's certainly not a lay-down defense. It's going to be a fact question at the end of the day that a prosecutor would have to decide whether that's something they really want to pursue in terms of trying to get beyond that defense, and whether they'd be able to convince a jury to convict, notwithstanding the argument that what was done, which would otherwise be illegal, is allowed under the doctrine of necessity. But that's the argument. It's different than self-defense. But it's funny, I didn't answer my own question. I posted on Twitter X, I posted that, well, what I did is I shared the Fox 59 story about the man in Beech Grove killing Oreo, the trained attack cat, I say facetiously, and claiming self-defense. And I just said, did you know? I love asking questions and just allowing the comments to kind of take off from there. On social media, I just posted, did you know the Indiana self-defense statute does not justify the use of force against an animal, only, quote, another person? And as I expected, the comments got pretty entertaining from there. But that's a doctrine of necessity, and it's something I haven't discussed before here on the Gun Guy Show. And I do think it warrants some discussion because it answers the question of, hold on, do I have to just get mauled? But by the way, a topic that I do cover in Essentials of Indiana Gun Law, and I'll continue to do that, as well as adding a brief discussion on the doctrine of necessity, which we just talked about, is so in preparing, if you're going out on a walk in your neighborhood, you're going on a bicycle ride, you're going on a jog on the Monon Trail or some other location, where, yes, there is a possibility that some knucklehead pet owner doesn't have their pet under control, and you're going to get potentially attacked or threatened with an attack by an aggressive animal, including an aggressive dog. Does that mean there's nothing you can do to prepare for that other than carrying your gun? No, not at all. And it's something that I have talked about in my classes. I haven't addressed so much here on the show, but given this case coming out of Beech Grove, I think that's an appropriate discussion. Right now, though, we're going to take a break. And we'll go to the phone lines. I think we've had a couple of people call. We'll answer your questions and allow you to air your comments here in just a bit. Give us a call, 317-239-9393. By the way, I understand the phone lines were not working during the Home and Garden Show this morning, 9 to 1, but apparently our on-call engineers around here on WIBC have gotten that fixed, which I'm glad to hear. So give us a call, 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
It's hot out there.
The weather's hot.
And when we say hot,
But the headlines, they're even hotter.
I mean extremely hot.
The news of the day is heating up.
There were no weekend curfew violations.
Peaceful weekend in downtown Indianapolis leading up to the WNBA All-Star Game.
The city appeared to be very safe.
Stay cool.
Relief from dangerous temperatures.
Stay informed.
More extreme summer weather across the country.
Stay with 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel here for our guy, Mark Dietl. Mark Dietl is the only real estate expert that we trust on the Hammer and Nigel show. And it's because he's helping Hoosiers every day, like Kevin and Angela in Greenwood. The big home was too much, and it was time for Dad to move into a maintenance-free community. But they needed cash from the home to fund the change. They reached out to the Mark Dietl team, and they were helped immediately with the entire process, from selling belongings to prepping the home for maximum value. The home went on the market and sold for $5,000 over the asking price in less than a week. That's what Mark Dietl does. He's the only real estate agent that can guarantee your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price or deadline or he will buy it. No long-term contracts. You pick the move date. You can cancel at any time. Call Mark Dietl today. 317-755-4232 or go to markdietl.com.
Bill Estes Ford is your neighborhood truck dealer. And right now, during the Ford Summer Sales Event, we've got an amazing deal you won't want to miss. 0% APR, 0 down payment, and 0 payments for 90 days. That's 3 big zeros, which adds up to 0 excuses not to drive home in a new Ford today. Every day is truck day. Go anywhere, do anything in a new F-150, starting at just $46,295. Bill Estes Ford, online at BillEstesFord.com.
Stock BFP 250444. Always see dealer for details.
You hear that? That's Mike sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. That's because Mike was smart this time. He took ZzzQuil Ultra to fall asleep fast, stay asleep longer, and get the deeply restorative sleep he needs. So now he wakes up refreshed and ready to conquer Mondays.
Let's do this Monday.
ZzzQuil Ultra. Not for colds, just for sleep. Really great sleep. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by Pierce Jewelers, Carmel's Diamond Engagement Ring Store.
Fox News, I'm Daria Albringer. The FAA is investigating another near miss in the sky.
We plummeted, and there was no warning at all, and it was just a free fall for what felt like 5 to 10 seconds.
Caitlin Burden was on a Southwest Airlines flight from Burbank to Las Vegas when they plunged to avoid a mid-air collision. 2 flight attendants were hurt. 1 person was killed, another hurt in a shooting Friday at the University of New Mexico.
While conducting a sweep of nearby buildings, UNM police located a deceased 14-year-old male inside a room at the Costas del Rio dormitory.
State Police Chief Troy Weisler, the victims are not students and the motive for the shooting remains unclear. Over half the nation is broiling in excessive heat and humidity today. America is listening to Fox News.
Indianapolis was built for speed, electricity, and nonstop action. So was Live Golf. So where better to crown a new individual champion? Leading the pack? Rahm, DeChambeau, and Neiman. But only one can be the victor. So be at Chatham Hills August 15th to 17th as Live Golf gets even louder. With a doubleheader concert from Riley Green and Jason Derulo. Tickets are already flying out of the gate. Hurry and grab yours now at livegolf.com.
Big Joe for your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, Jim's Heating and Air Conditioning. Owner Jim Scott says only the best will do when it's your reputation on the line.
We want to install something that's high quality so we can move on to the next job. The way we install it is high quality and the equipment that we use is high quality. So when I shop for something to sell, American Standard was there. It was just the highest quality there is.
In Boone and Hamilton County, call 765-601-1461 for Jim's Heating and Air Conditioning, your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Get tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-296-1251. 800-296-1251. That's 800-296-1251.
Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
We all have someone we love, like the favorite lyric in our favorite song. You can't imagine life without them. Cancer screening tests can help keep the person you love around longer by detecting changes before cancer develops, or catch it early when it may be easier to treat. And many tests are available for free or are covered by insurance. It's time to sound like a broken record. Tell all your friends and family, I love you. Get screened. Visit cancer.org/getscreened to learn more.
The show about gun rights, gun safety, and responsible gun ownership. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. I'll tell you, we've had a couple of callers. Let's go to the phone lines, and our pal Buzz has called in. Buzz, welcome to The Gun Guy Show.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you, sir.
Sure, buddy.
Oh, I live by a railroad track, and I have seen it with my own eyes, but what about a wild coyote walking the fence line and coming after my little 5-pound Heinz 57 dog.
Yeah, right. I got one of those Heinz 57s myself. Well, you say, what about it? What can you do?
Well, I'm going to shoot it. It's coming at.
Yeah, right. I understood, Buzz. Well, yeah. Let me tell you what's involved here, and I've had this case. And first of all, DNR says that coyotes are considered a nuisance animal and can be killed as nuisance animals at any time of the year. There's not a hunting season, for instance. They're considered nuisance, and for that reason can be shot legally. However, the separate problem that you potentially have is exactly what I mentioned earlier in the show, which is the argument that if this railroad track, it runs alongside or near a residential area and somebody reports a gunshot, you may have discharging a firearm within city limits, which is typically just an ordinance violation. It means it's just a fine. But then separately, you've got potentially criminal recklessness with a deadly weapon to the extent that your gunshot shooting the coyote or at the coyote, especially if you miss, and that bullet goes bouncing off the ground or a railroad tie or whatever it might be and travels some other place, if that shot endangers a human being who's in the area, then that's prosecutable as criminal recklessness with a deadly weapon. And I've had that case in terms of people actually having criminal charges filed against them. That's why, for instance, it's the same discussion. People talk about warning shots. There are people out there still, not particularly smart people, but there are people out there that talk about, oh, yeah, well, you should always fire a warning shot, if there's someone who's potentially threatening you or you're scared of a potential attack. Warning shots are a really, really, really bad idea. And it's a different issue, but it's a big overlap here, which is that I've seen now multiple people. I've defended the cases. I have a client right now in a pending case. Someone was trying to break into his car. He saw him on a security camera. The car was under a carport in a residential neighborhood. He walked out there. The guy was trying to get into his car. He yelled at the guy, expecting him to run away. The guy did not run away. He just stood up and stared at the guy, at my client. My client then pointed the gun at the ground off to the side of the driveway and shot around into the soft dirt next to the driveway. That's when the other guy took off running. My client called 911, said, want to let you know there was a guy here. I've got him on my security camera. He was trying to break into my car. He was acting erratically in the sense that he essentially challenged me, didn't run away, just stared at me when I told him to get away from my car, and I fired a warning shot, at which point he left. You know what they did? They charged my client with criminal recklessness with a deadly weapon for firing the shot, saying, well, that shot could have endangered someone in the area. Is that a good case, by the way? Are they going to win that case? We'll get into that in just a bit as a bit of a separate topic. But so there's a risk there, Buzz. What I would be prepared to do now with a coyote, and we've seen rabid coyotes certainly be aggressive. There's stories of that. I've certainly not observed that personally. We've seen very, very rare situations of coyotes being aggressive toward human beings. Many, many more stories of dog bites. But I would certainly be prepared, and that's something I think about. My dog often wants to go out at 3 or 4 in the morning. That's usually because I've already gotten up in the middle of the night. Being an old man, that tends to happen. I get up in the middle of the night. Well, then the dog wants to go out. And I'll sit there, and I've got a high lumen flashlight there on the nightstand, and I have my master bedroom has a door that leads right out onto the deck on the first floor. And I tend to open the door, let the dog out, and shine light in the backyard, just see if I see any little eyes reflecting back at me. Because I certainly have heard coyotes in and around my neighborhood before. And I've thought about, all right, well, I let the dog out. I don't see any coyotes. But then I hear the dog yelping and barking and some indication of it's being attacked. I run out there, and I have a suppressed firearm next to my bed when I go to sleep. I grab my suppressed firearm. I run out there. And there's a coyote that's got a hold of my dogs trying to drag it off. Do I run a risk of being prosecuted if I shoot that coyote in my neighborhood? Yes, that's the whole point of this discussion. I do bear that risk. So what I would be absolutely prepared to do in that circumstance is to explain to any responding police officers exactly the angle of my shot, what was beyond my shot. That's one of the basic rules of gun safety, right? Know your target and what's beyond. We actually rephrase that a little bit to say anything aligned with your target, in terms of anything between you and your target, and anything past it. And nicely, there's a nice big privacy mound behind my house that kind of separates my neighborhood from the adjoining neighborhood. And it's kind of a nice natural berm. Now, I don't use it as a shooting berm. I can't say I've never thought about it, for obvious reasons, in a residential neighborhood. But I would be prepared to say the direction of my shot I knew was absolutely safe. I was confident in my shot. I've got a nice firearm with a nice optic. I had a light on it. I had my target illuminated. I knew there was a very nice high mound behind my target, which was the coyote. And I knew I was already shooting from an elevated position, either off my deck or because I'm taller than the coyote. I knew shooting down with the berm behind me, it was 100% safe. I didn't endanger anyone. I would be prepared to make that statement if and when I gave a statement to police, which is a whole other discussion. We'll leave that perhaps for another day. But you have to be prepared to say that what I did was not only necessary under the circumstances, but did not endanger another human being. And so it's a great question by Buzz. But again, I teased this issue, which I'll go into here after the break. What if I'm just getting ready to go on a walk? I'm going to walk my dog, or I'm going on a walk with my wife or my granddaughter. Like a lot of people that listen to this show, I'm going to be carrying my handgun. Should I think about any other methods of self-defense, realizing anytime you're out walking or bicycling or jogging or whatever it might be, yes, there's a chance of running into an aggressive animal. I think much less than when I was a kid. When I was a kid, nobody much kept control of their dogs. The neighborhood dogs just ran around, and some were more aggressive than others. I think it depends, I'm sure, the area you live in, but I think for the most part, people are much more responsible in training and keeping control of their pets. But it's still a risk. We all hear about it. A lot of people discuss it all the time. And then you have the whole separate discussion of a wild animal, like Buzz just mentioned, a coyote. And coyotes are all the time, are around all over the place. I see them, I started to say, all the time, just driving from Zionsville to Carmel to go from my house to my office. I see them downtown Carmel. So it's not like you have to live much in the country to have a concern with coyotes. Is there anything else you could do? Should you give that some thought before you go on your bicycle ride or for your jog? That's what we'll get into, as well as go back to the phone lines when we come back. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
It's another week of this.
There's a very good chance that we'll have a settlement.
And another day for this.
Water rose 28 foot in 45 minutes.
Plus, another possibility of this.
Monitor the weather condition, the National Weather Service.
That's why another update is just minutes away.
Start saying we're not taking this anymore.
Just another day.
Not with all this happening.
Every day.
Happening now.
93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. Our next Essentials of Indiana Gun Law class is actually coming up September 30th. I'm going to have that. That's going to be at Indy Arms there at 2550 East 55th Street on the northeast side of Indy. I'll have that on the website here before the show is over. The one that's already there that you can already register for is going to be in Avon at Parabellum's Firearms and Indoor Range. We'd love to see you sign up for that as well. Those courses are $50 for individuals, $95 for couples. For 4.5 to 5 hours, the most important legal information you need as an Indiana gun owner. You can sign up right online at tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
You let him try violin because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
The deals at Andy Moore Ford just keep on coming. The red, white, and new sales event. Get independence from car payments with no payments for 3 months and enjoy your freedom in the new Ford F-150 Super Crew or that absolutely amazing Ford Mustang. Mustang with 0% APR financing for 48 months. Save $15,000. That's $15,000 off MSRP on new 2024 F-150s or Expeditions, or buy a new Ford Super Duty truck for under $40,000. Andy Moore Ford in Plainfield is your spot for all the Super Duty trucks. They've got 175 trucks to choose from right there on the lot at Andy Moore Ford in Plainfield. And with more to your door, simply purchase your vehicle online and they'll deliver it to your door. Andy Moore Ford, 2713 East Main Street in Plainfield, or online at andymoreford.com. That's MOHR. andymoreford.com.
As an IT professional, you have the opportunity to guarantee your data security, participate in 100% landfill-free disposal, and have peace of mind with R2 V3 certifications. Technology Recyclers provides guaranteed complete data destruction, 100% landfill-free disposal, and the certification to back it up. Protect your data while saving the planet. Receive a free pickup of your e-waste from Technology Recyclers. Visit tech-recyclers.com. That's tech-recyclers.com.
You hear that? That's Mike sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. That's because Mike was smart this time. He took ZzzQuil Ultra to fall asleep fast, stay asleep longer, and get the deeply restorative sleep he needs. So now he wakes up refreshed and ready to conquer Mondays.
Let's do this Monday.
ZzzQuil Ultra. Not for colds, just for sleep. Really great sleep. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Emmer and Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
What if the next time you painted your home was the last time you painted your home?
Our Rhino Shield has been on for 8 years.
Rhino Shield. Call 888-RHINO-41. Don't paint, don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now's the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Tired of digging through noise to find real news? Go straight to WIBC.com. Local stories, statewide impact, national headlines, info that matters. When news breaks, WIBC.com is already on it. Stay on the know while you're on the go. Your rights, your responsibilities, your guns. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. Started talking a little bit about the case of Oreo, the assault cat. It was, and I don't mean to laugh about Oreo no longer being with us, by the way. Even though I'm not particularly a cat lover, I'm certainly a pet lover. And I don't make light of anyone losing a pet, a domestic animal, and certainly an animal they're close to. But what started this discussion is the story coming out of Beech Grove of an aggressive cat allegedly attacking a gentleman in Beech Grove, and him acting, quote unquote, in self-defense, in shooting and killing that cat. And by the way, I'm a little surprised that Jonathan Mosier, who's the person who's now being prosecuted for intentionally killing a domestic animal, is not also being charged with criminal recklessness with a deadly weapon. That is very common in cases where somebody shoots at or shoots a domestic animal or anything else, frankly, in a residential area. And it's early in the case, you may see amended charges. But on the issue of being able to protect yourself from aggressive animals, I mean, that comes up, and where I cover this exact topic in my gun law class, and I talk about how self-defense doesn't actually apply, defending yourself against an aggressive animal. People say, well, what do you mean? I just have to sit there and watch it while a dog chews my leg off or attacks my granddaughter or my wife? And I said, well, no. I said, do what you need to do. And again, that's where the doctrine of necessity is such an important point. But in addition to that, I always recommend, and something I do personally, is carry less lethal means of self-defense when you're going on that bike ride or walk or jog or whatever it might be. And what am I talking about there? I am a big fan of a striking weapon like a collapsible baton. I keep one in the map well. I don't know if everybody still calls those map wells. I grew up calling them that. The pocket on the inside of your driver's side door, and matching pocket on the other side. But in my driver's side door, we always called that a map well. But anyway, I have two things in that. I have a canister of OC spray, pepper spray, which is very, very effective. And I have a collapsible baton. And I have a belly band holster. And separately, I have a something called a Pfister Enigma to carry a gun with, but also I have the means to carry a collapsible baton and some OC spray. OC spray in my pocket, collapsible baton usually in a pocket in the holster. When I'm going on a walk or a bicycle ride, doesn't weigh much. It's not a problem having it in your pocket. And let me tell you, OC spray is tough on dogs. It is very, very tough on dogs. And part of the reason for that, and I've seen the after effects of this, is it's bad enough in a human where it gets in your eyes and you're breathing it. Now you can't breathe, you can't see, your whole face is burning, your nose is burning, your mouth's burning, your lungs are burning, and you're salivating uncontrollably. It just shuts you down. In an animal with a coat, with fur, those sprays gets in their coat around their eyes, and it lingers, it stays. I've seen dogs with their entire face shaved off because it got hit with OC spray. And they couldn't adequately get it out of its coat. Now, I've also heard stories of animals, and I think some breeds tend to predominate when you hear these stories. The OC spray is not effective. That's where a striking weapon makes a lot of sense, like a collapsible baton across the bridge of the nose, going to be effective many more times than not. So I'm a big fan of having alternative means of self-defense, less lethal means of self-defense, and advocate especially if you're going out in a residential area. And with that, I'm going to pass the time for a break here. It's time to get out at the top of the hour. We'll be back in just a bit. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Change is always happening. It's part of life. And when it comes to music, change is all around us. Songs are rewritten, classics are remixed, bands and artists come and go. Even our taste in music changes. Here at Xfinity, we know there's still good in keeping some things the same. That's why we want to do our part with a 5-year price guarantee on our internet. It means no matter what changes, you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best equipment included for a price that stays exactly the same. Surprised? Life is full of them. One internet price, 5 years, guaranteed. Learn more at xfinity.com/deals. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us, too, in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org.
The National Weather Service in Indianapolis has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for northwestern Morgan County, south central Hendricks County until 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. At 5:57 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, a severe thunderstorm was located 10 miles west of Mooresville, or 26 miles southwest of Indianapolis, moving northeast at 25 miles per hour. Expected hazards include 60 miles per hour wind gusts. This is a radar-indicated threat. The following impacts are expected. Expect damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Locations impacted include Mooresville, Monrovia, Clayton, Stylesville, Lake Hart, and Little Point. This includes Interstate 70 between mile markers 50 and 62. For your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building. Torrential rainfall is occurring with this storm and may lead to flash flooding. Do not drive your vehicle through flooded roadways. Repeating, a severe thunderstorm warning has been issued until 6:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for the following counties in Indiana, Hendricks, and Morgan.
Situation in Gaza. Here was the president before leaving for Scotland.
Hamas didn't really want to make a deal. I think they want to die, and it's very, very bad.
And earlier, Britain's prime minister taking to X, posting Israel must allow aid in overland to end the starvation unfolding in Gaza. The situation is desperate. We are working with Jordan to get aid into Gaza. We are urgently accelerating efforts to evacuate children who need critical medical assistance to the UK for treatment. I am determined to find a pathway for peace.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson at the White House. The president wants the Senate to spend their summer vacation in Washington so they can approve all of his nominations.
More than 130 Trump nominees await confirmation, ranging from assistant cabinet secretaries to ambassadors. Republicans accuse Democrats of hamstringing the president's picks by bleeding the clock on each nominee. GOP senators are willing to blow off the beach in exchange for Washington's August swamp. The Senate has never failed to confirm any of an executive's nominees on a fast track before President Trump, or a batch all at once. But that could change. That's because Democrats also want to ditch Washington for the summer.
Fox's Chad Pergram, the House is already gone on its summer recess. President Trump posting on Truth Social that Cambodia and Thailand will be meeting immediately to quickly work out a ceasefire. At least 30 people are dead in 3 days of intense fighting. America's listening to Fox News.
From around the world,
Trey Yingst, joining us from Tel Aviv, Israel.
To Washington,
I'm Mike Emanuel.
To your own backyard. If a story impacts you or your wallet, we're on it. It's the Fox News Rundown. We give every story the deeper look it deserves with must-listen interviews and smart analysis from the voices you can trust. Start your day with the Fox News Rundown. Listen and follow now at foxnewsrundown.com or wherever you get your favorite podcasts. From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
Hey, this is Trey Gowdy, host of the Trey Gowdy Podcast. Every Tuesday, you'll hear what's on my mind. Plus, every Thursday, there's a special bonus episode where we answer the questions that are on your mind. Make sure to spend your Tuesdays and Thursdays with Trey. Subscribe now at foxnewspodcast.com or wherever you download podcasts. Hope to see you.
America's listening to Fox News.
A Southwest airliner.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Arresting them years later. I'm Jarrett Lewis. Here's what's trending this hour. A suspect is arrested in connection to a fatal hit-and-run accident that happened Easter Sunday 4 years ago in Fort Wayne. 31-year-old Kiera Chapman faces charges related to the incident, which resulted in the death of 17-year-old Samaya Barker. A longtime state police detective was disciplined after joining a criminal probe into a southern Indiana sheriff. Ryan Hedrick has more.
Jeffrey Herron, a police officer with more than 30 years' experience, began looking into Du Bois County Sheriff Tom Kleinhelter's misuse of jail commissary funds.
After an 80-page probable cause affidavit, there are most detectives that will go career and never write one half that long. This is 80 pages of facts.
Former State Superintendent Doug Carter telling WIBC's Kendall and Casey that Herron became the target of an internal investigation.
They said he made derogatory comments about the initial detective.
Carter went on to say that Braun's administration stopped the investigation. Ryan Hedrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A homeless encampment in Indianapolis is set to be shut down by the city after it received an eviction notice. The letter said all people and items in the camp must be gone by August 11th. Reggie Johnson told Wish TV he can't afford the cost of living right now.
They're not too much concerned about homeless, because if it was the case, there would be other buildings and places like this right here, they're doing nothing with it where they can help house homeless people.
And said the city could help them out a little bit more. Campers are looking for a more long-term solution. And NASCAR is at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway this weekend. Kyle Busch has had success at IMS before.
Everybody wants to win this thing. It's one of the crown jewels of our sports.
He spoke with Wish TV. Green flag for Sunday's race will drop at 2 o'clock. I'm Jarrett Lewis on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Tonight, scattered showers and storms mainly early on, lows in the mid-70s. And for Sunday, high temperatures in the mid to upper 80s, but very muggy. Scattered showers and storms still possible. On Wish TV, Storm Track 8 meteorologist Ryan Morse for 93 WIBC.
From marshmallow festivals to fireworks on the shore. No matter where you're headed this summer, Hubler's got you covered for 100,000 miles. During Hubler's Freedom to Drive, shop any of our 13 locations and choose from Chevys, Fords, Toyotas, GMCs, Buicks, Nissans, Acuras, Mazdas, Hondas, and more. Over 2,000 vehicles. All makes, all models, certified vehicles, luxury vehicles, even the hard-to-find ones. Plus, every Hubler Q-certified vehicle is covered by a 128-point vehicle inspection and a free Carfax history report.
'Cause Hubler's got you covered.
No matter where you're headed this summer, Hubler's got you covered for 100,000 miles during our Freedom to Drive. Visit drivehubler.com or any of our 13 locations.
Cover me!
Warranty on select models less than 9 years old.
For all your home's heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and drain needs, remember the man for all seasons, Chapman. AC tune-ups right now, only $89. Schedule online today at chapmanheating.com. That's chapmanheating.com.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. This is the Second Amendment, and this is the Gun Guy.
Boom, 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 boom. Bang, 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 bang. Boom, 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 boom. Bang, bang, bang.
With Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back for hour number 2, the Gun Guy Show here on 93 WIBC. Glad that you're here. Been talking about a shooting in Beech Grove, and actually spent a little more time on it than I'd planned. But it raised the question of whether you can claim self-defense when you're attacked by an animal, and the answer is no. Are there other legal defenses you have? Yes. That's what we covered in the first hour. And as well as going to the phone lines, taking some questions, which we're going to go right back to here in a minute. Separate question, though, and this always comes up in my gun law class, and people never like the answer, which is, all right, well, separate question. Now it's not someone attacking me or a loved one and my need to defend ourselves. What if it's a neighbor or some other person who's trying to kill my animal? This comes up all the time. I get this question almost every single time I teach my gun law class. I have a neighbor who hates my dog. He threatens my dog. He says he's going to shoot my dog. If he's trying to shoot my dog, can I shoot my neighbor? Question I get all the time. And people don't ever like the answer, and people get upset with me, and people, without actually knowing the law, want to argue with me that I can't possibly be right. But in Indiana, like most states, your domestic animals and, by the way, your livestock fall in the same category, and people get upset about this, and it's completely understandable. I don't blame them. People say, wait a minute, my livestock as a farmer or rancher, that's my livelihood. My family doesn't eat. And I don't put food on the table. They're my livelihood and how I sustain my family. But your animals, including your domestic animals and your livestock in Indiana, are just considered your property. And in Indiana, you can use reasonable force to defend your property. I'm not talking about your home. That's castle doctrine. That's a whole different discussion. So take your home out of the discussion for a moment. But your domestic animals and your livestock are considered your personal property, like your wallet or your jewelry or your car. Now, it raises another question because your occupied motor vehicles is included within the castle doctrine, but we'll leave that aside. Somebody's just trying to steal your car. Somebody's trying to shoot your dog. Somebody's trying to break into your mailbox to steal your mail because you've got Amazon packages in it or whatnot. Can you shoot them? The answer is no. You can use reasonable force to defend your property, but you cannot use deadly force. Again, I'm not talking about your home. It's an important distinction. So people say, wait a minute, my neighbor is actively taking shots at my dog, you telling me I can't shoot my neighbor? The answer is no, you cannot. And nobody likes hearing it, but they need to hear it, because what I don't want to get is the call from you from jail saying, well, the neighbor took a shot at my dog, so I shot him, he's dead, now I'm being prosecuted for murder or manslaughter. Unfortunate circumstance all around. Do I empathize? Of course. As I've said more than once during this show, I'm an animal lover and a dog owner myself, and I feel strongly about it. But Indiana law is clear on the point. Right now, let's go to the phone lines, and I'll tell you what, Keith has been on hold forever. And Keith, thanks so much for your patience, man. Welcome to the Gun Guy Show.
Hey, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Hey, with all the violence we've had downtown, it seems like maybe not all of it, but a lot of it is by underage people carrying weapons.
Uh-huh.
My question is, how does a police officer be proactive about that? Can he just come up to somebody who he thinks is under 18 and ask him for ID? And explain to me how that works.
Yeah, it's something that that I both posted about on social media. And Keith, again, thanks for your patience and thanks for your question. I posted about this and also discussed it last Monday. I was filling in for Hammer on the Hammer and Nigel show, and I was lucky enough while I was co-hosting to have both Chief Bailey from IMPD on as a guest on the Hammer and Nigel show, and we had Rick Snyder from the FOP, Fraternal Order of Police, who also was on it, and I asked both of them about this, and the way the law works on this. And listen, there are Fourth Amendment protections here. To a little lesser degree, the Second Amendment certainly applies as well. But can the police just walk up to somebody and ask them for ID for essentially no purpose? No, you have that officer has to have a reasonable suspicion that you're committing a crime or an ordinance violation or an infraction. For instance, Indiana has a failure to identify law. If I get pulled over for speeding, okay, it was a valid stop because the officer saw me doing 75 and a 55, and they walk up, can they ask for my ID? Yes. Do I have to give it to them? Yes. If I don't have ID, I have to give them my name. I believe it's name and address. And there's a separate crime. It's called failure to identify. And that's just for that infraction of speeding. That's where your failure to identify law comes in. And again, whenever I mention this, and listen, I get it, but people come back and they want to argue with me and say, oh, yeah, great. Now we're going to have police just randomly asking people for their papers, equating Nazi Germany out of the whole thing. No, it has to be based on a reasonable suspicion of committing a crime, an ordinance violation, or an infraction. And what is violation of curfew in downtown Indianapolis? It's an ordinance violation. There's an ordinance, the Indianapolis City County Council, that says after certain hours you can't be downtown as a juvenile, as a minor, as someone under 18. If someone reasonably appears to be under 18, can police officer detain them and ask for ID? Yes, under the current state of the law, they can. That's not a Fourth Amendment violation because they have a reasonable suspicion of that ordinance violation. And as part of that, they can ask for ID. And failure to provide ID is a separate actual misdemeanor. If they then are established to be a juvenile in violation of the curfew, and I asked Chief Bailey this directly, I said, it's certainly my belief that the law under the Fourth Amendment allows that juvenile to be searched prior to them being taken in, and Chief Bailey referred to them as safe and secure locations. I'm not sure exactly what locations are talking about. It didn't sound like necessarily the juvenile detention facility, but maybe it is. Or maybe they had some other locations all, primed and ready to take juveniles that they picked up. This was over the last weekend when we had the WNBA All-Star game and we had Black Expo in town and the police force in downtown Indy. I'll tell you what, I went out walking around. I was downtown for another 2-3 hours after my show, and the police presence in downtown Indy was like nothing I've ever seen. I've been down here for the Super Bowl. I've been down here for NCAA championships multiple times. I've been down here for a lot of big events, and I've never seen a police presence like I saw this past weekend, just a week ago today after my show. I went down, saw my friends at Burn Cigar Bar, and was walking around the circle and between here and 2-3 blocks south of Meridian Street. I've never seen a police presence like that. But I asked Chief Bailey, because he said they have these secure and safe and secure locations, he called them. They were going to take juveniles to, after, if they're in violation of the curfew. And I said, when you take them to that safe and secure location, do you search them first? He said, absolutely. My officers are never going to put someone in their police car without having searched them. I said, okay. And if they find a weapon, a firearm on that juvenile, and you're under 18, you cannot carry a handgun or otherwise possess a firearm outside certain exceptions. You can take a class, you can be supervised by a parent, you can be at an established shooting range. There are all kinds of exceptions. But running around by yourself downtown or with your buddies, you can't carry a firearm as a juvenile. It's illegal. It's a crime. And that's not an infraction, that's a crime. So I said, then if you then are able to legally search them, having been stopped for the infraction, the ordinance violation of a curfew violation, and you search them and find a firearm, isn't that a separate crime? Yes. Won't you then arrest them for that crime? Yes. And that'll be turned over to the Marion County Prosecutor's Office for the prosecution of that crime. Now, they'll, in all likelihood, go through the juvenile justice system. You've all heard. They go to juvie, quote unquote, and maybe they don't fear juvie. That's a whole nother discussion. But in the meantime, you've taken that kid and that gun off the streets of downtown Indianapolis. And listen, nobody cares about constitutional rights more than I do. I've got a big chunk of the Constitution tattooed on my right arm. I defend constitutional rights for a living. I don't take those rights lightly. I'm not advocating for walking around randomly throwing people up against the wall and searching them and detaining them, absent the legal standard of reasonable suspicion of the commission of a crime, an ordinance violation, or an infraction. That's the current standard. And do I think that could, and if enforced, will result in kids who are violating curfew, more importantly, kids who are illegally armed and downtown with the intent to commit violent crimes, does it have the potential to get them off the streets? Yes. Now, a separate question that I asked Chief Bailey, and then Rick Snyder from FOP brought this up immediately when we talked to him afterward, because he was listening to Nigel and my interview of Chief Bailey. I said, listen, the police presence was like nothing I've ever seen in downtown Indianapolis last weekend. And he said, yes, we canceled leave. We canceled time off. And we had a presence that was intended to be extreme in downtown Indianapolis. That wasn't his word. I'm paraphrasing. And I said, okay. I said, is that sustainable? Is that going to be a typical September Saturday night in downtown Indianapolis? And Chief said, sustainable is exactly the issue. And the answer to your question is no, it's not sustainable. We can't have that kind of presence. We simply don't have the resources and the manpower for that kind of presence. And then Rick Snyder seized on exactly that issue. That goes to, by the way, the fact that IMPD is, and don't quote me on the number, I believe I've heard Rick Snyder say somewhere around 400 officers short on where they need to be from a staffing perspective. And they have the budget, they have the spots, they're having trouble filling them, is my understanding. But it's not sustainable. And so will we see that as a resource? Well, will we see more of these violent, armed juveniles running around downtown Indy, creating havoc, engaged in more shootings, after there's not that overwhelming police presence that we saw last weekend? I certainly hope not. If we do, enforcement of the curfew law, curfew ordinance, more accurately said, is certainly a weapon, and a legitimate constitutional weapon that police have. And that's exactly what we heard from Chief Bailey and Rick Snyder as well last weekend. So that was a long answer to Key's question, and we've gone past the quarter hour. It's time for a break. We'll go back to the phone lines when we come back. Mike has called, Anthony's called, and we'll take other calls as well. 317-239-9393. 317-239-9393. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Kendall and Casey.
Look at how he just broke it further than it was already broken. Why would you think he's going to fix anything?
Had the chance.
You know who you need to listen to? Us. We're the ones who are right. We're the ones who will tell you how it is. We're the ones who always stand up and own it. You need to listen to us. Stop listening to these politicians. They are to blame.
Kendall and Casey. Weekdays 9 till noon on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Guy Relford for Tactical Firearms Training. I've now added the new course in September. It's actually September 20th. It's going to be at Indy Arms. This is Essentials of Indiana Gun Law. It's 4.5 to 5 hours, the most important legal information you need as an Indiana gun owner. And importantly, it's an opportunity to ask all of your legal questions right there in the classroom. That's where people get a lot of the very best information, is on the give and take and the Q&A that happens right there in the classroom at Indy Arms. There's going to be one 9 to 2 on Saturday, September 20th at Indy Arms on the northeast side of Indy. And another one coming up the very next month, Saturday, October 18th at Parabellum Firearms in Avon. Both of them are $50 for an individual, $95 for couples. We'd love to see you there at Essentials of Indiana Gun Law, either at Indy Arms in Indianapolis on September 20th or Parabellum Firearms and Indoor Range in Avon on Saturday, October 18th. You can sign up right online at tactical-firearms.com. Just click on upcoming courses at tactical-firearms.com.
Lynn just loves the summer in Indy, but she's not going to spend it painting. She called Rhino Shield.
It is a single-wide manufactured home. We moved from our home, which we had the Rhino Shield on. Rhino Shield was what we were going to do. That was no question. We knew we were going to do it.
Rhino Shield's a ceramic coating. It's not paint, it's better.
The Rhino Shield representative came, and we discussed what we wanted done. And this time, we had the roof done as well.
Now you can have the 25-year guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield for 10% off the regular price.
Even the people that have been a little younger than us have said they don't have to worry about getting just an everyday painter, because Rhino Shield has the 25-year warranty, and we truly believe in this product.
Here's Rhino Shield's Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
The deals at Andy Moore Ford just keep on coming. The red, white, and new sales event. Get independence from car payments with no payments for 3 months and enjoy your freedom in the new Ford F-150 Super Crew or that absolutely amazing Ford Mustang with 0% APR financing for 48 months. Save $15,000. That's $15,000 off MSRP on new 2024 F-150s or Expeditions, or buy a new Ford Super Duty truck for under $40,000. Andy Moore Ford in Plainfield is your spot for all the Super Duty trucks. They've got 175 trucks to choose from right there on the lot at Andy Moore Ford in Plainfield. And with more to your door, simply purchase your vehicle online and they'll deliver it to your door. Andy Moore Ford, 2713 East Main Street in Plainfield, or online at andymoreford.com. That's MOHR.
I love Andy.
andymoreford.com.
Lanny went to college and racked up huge debt.
A little bit over $100,000.
For a degree he couldn't use? Now what?
I had a friend that went to My Computer Career.
They even helped him get hired immediately after graduation.
One of the things I love about IT is that you can work from anywhere you want.
You could become an IT pro in just months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu. My Computer Career, an elite CompTIA certification partner.
It worked for me, and I know it can work for you.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Hey, y'all, I'm Blake Shelton. Being from Oklahoma, I know a thing or two about natural disasters. Tornadoes are common where I'm from and have affected my life and the lives of people I care about. No matter where you live, be aware of the dangers in your area and have a plan. You can create an emergency kit, come up with an evacuation plan, and know where to seek shelter. You never know when a disaster may hit. These simple steps can help save a life. This message is brought to you by the U.S. Air Force.
Pierce Jewelers is the best family-owned jewelry store in Carmel. All jewelry and watch repair, appraisals, and custom design are done in-house. Shop local, shop smart, shop Pierce Jewelers.
Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures. Learn more at helpnokidhungry.org.
You've got a gun guy. Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. Tell you what, let's go back to the phone lines. Mike's been on hold for quite a while. Mike, well, thanks for your patience as well, man. Welcome to the Gun Guy Show.
Hey, Guy. I have a Fourth Amendment question directly relating to the second.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm driving in my car and I get pulled over, if I have my firearm locked in a locked compartment within my car, and I tell the officer, I'm not trying to be, sneaky or anything like that, can he get into my locked compartment, glove compartment or whatever, without a warrant? And can he use the reason, I guess, officer safety in order to do that?
It's a great question, Mike, and there was a little bit of uncertainty about that until a case came down, I believe it was 2010, called Melvin Washington v. State in Indiana. You can just Google this and read the discussion from the Indiana Court of Appeals, but it's Melvin Washington v. State. And that case decided by the Indiana Court of Appeals, I think, has changed the way Indiana police officers are trained and the way they approach firearms and vehicles, as well as the fact that firearms and vehicles are just so much more common than they were even 15, 20, 30, 40 years ago. Officers have had to be better trained in the law. And what happened in the Melvin Washington case, and this bears directly on your question, is that Melvin got pulled over for something pretty minor, like a headlight being out or something. And he had his license to carry, and obviously this is before constitutional carry, but he volunteered to the officer that he had his license to carry and had a handgun in the car. And in this case, it was under his seat. And he told the officer that, and he produced his license to carry. And the officer said, well, I'm going to have to take possession of that gun for my safety. And listen, I've heard a lot of stories from a lot of people that have called my office or sent me emails over the years, and that's exactly the story I hear. And the state police, I think for a generation, I think they were trained to do this. If they weren't trained to do this, then it certainly became SOP just in communication among the officers. Because I can't profess personal knowledge as to exactly how they were trained, but I heard it all the time. State police officer, I'm going to have to take possession of that firearm for my safety. In this case, Melvin clearly said, I don't consent to that. And the officer said, well, I don't need your consent. I can search a vehicle and I can retrieve that firearm, take possession of that firearm for officer safety, for my safety during the stop. And that's what he did. He pulled Melvin out of the car and I believe parked him on the curb or back in his car, and then searched the vehicle and found the gun, but also in the process, under the same seat, found drugs. And the question became, was that search of Melvin's vehicle constitutional under the Fourth Amendment? And the standard, the legal standard that applies here, and it's very similar to what we were just talking about as far as a detention on the streets. But in order for an officer to search the area under the control of the driver and the driver as part of a traffic stop, the officer has to have a reasonable articulable suspicion. That means they can articulate the basis for a reasonable suspicion that that person is either a danger to the officer or engaged in criminal activity. And that means criminal activity, not an infraction or, something like your headlight being out or speeding. It's actual criminal activity. So if you roll the window down and a big old cloud of marijuana smoke rolls out, okay, now that officer has that reasonable suspicion. You pull over and there's a bag of cash with an exploded die pack, all over the back seat. Okay, now there's that reasonable suspicion of criminal activity. But there has to be a reasonable suspicion that either the person's a danger to the officer or engaged in criminal activity. And here, yes, Melvin had drugs in the car, but the officer didn't know that and had no basis for a suspicion of that. So what they relied upon, what the Attorney General's office in the appeal relied upon was, well, there's a gun in the car. And so as long as there's a gun in the car, then an officer has a reasonable suspicion that the person is a danger to the officer, simply because of the gun. And that was the argument that police officers made, or prosecutors made, or the state made in appeals for the legitimacy of a search when there's a gun in the car or someone reveals either voluntarily or in answer to a question, there's a gun in the car. Well, now there's a reasonable suspicion the person's a danger simply because they have a gun. And the Court of Appeals in the Melvin Washington case rejected that and said, no, you know what? The logic really was honest, law-abiding, non-dangerous people carry guns too. And the mere possession of a firearm alone doesn't establish any basis of danger, a reasonable suspicion of danger. That a lot of people who are no danger to an officer whatsoever can have a gun in the car. And this is particularly true where a person volunteers that there's a gun in the car and produces a valid license to carry a handgun. And this, by the way, can be an advantage. I always say, I fought for 10 years to get constitutional carry passed. And it shouldn't have taken that damn long, but I'm really proud of the effort that I and a whole lot of other people put in on that, including the legislators like Ben Smalls and Jim Lucas and Jerry Torr and many others, Aaron Freeman. It's a long list. Peggy Mayfield. There's a bunch, and a lot of folks, the people at the Indiana State Rifle and Pistol Association, and I'm very proud of the members of the 2A project that I founded in 2020. We showed up and we got it done. Shouldn't have taken that long. But even with constitutional carry having been passed, I still always make the point, there's still a lot of good reasons to have a license. The state shouldn't require you to have one in order to exercise a constitutional right. But you, of your own volition, may wisely choose to have one for a whole number of reasons that I also cover in my gun law class, by the way. But one of them is, during a traffic stop, being able to immediately produce that license, if you choose to, tells that officer you've passed the background check necessary to get that license. Which, on its face, establishes that your ownership of a firearm or possession of a firearm that's in that car is legal and no danger to that officer. And that's exactly what the Court of Appeals said in the Melvin Washington case. Is someone who has a license to carry and volunteers the license to carry and voluntarily indicates to that officer there's a gun in the car. That creates no basis for a reasonable suspicion of danger to that officer. So the search of Melvin's car was illegal and a violation of the Fourth Amendment. That's why Mike was totally smart to phrase his question that way. I have a Fourth Amendment question. That's exactly the question. And so officers now, I think, are much better trained all across the state to not demand taking possession of firearms. And by the way, what if an officer doesn't know the law or knows the law and doesn't care? You say, well, officer, I have a license to carry, or you have really no reason to think I'm any sort of a danger to your officer. My hands are at 10 and 2. I told you about the gun. Well, I'm going to need to take possession of that gun. First of all, you can always consent to any violation of your constitutional rights, whether that's Second Amendment or Fourth Amendment or any other. And officers, and I've talked to a lot of officers, I have a lot of friends who are officers, and I always give them some grief over this point because I've seen officers do this way too many times over the years. Officers use the term, I'm going to need to, as a way, I think, to not so honestly be able to say that you consented to whatever it is they tell you they're going to need to do. In other words, an officer says, I'm going to need to search your car. And you say, okay, not because you think your permission is being requested, but because they just told you that's what they're going to do. And to the extent you say, oh, hell no, you're not, now you're resisting, and next thing you know, you're getting tased or handcuffed or arrested for resisting. So I'm going to need to be careful. I'm going to need to search your car. I'm going to need to take possession of that gun. Sir, if you're asking my consent, or ma'am, if you're asking my consent, the answer is no. I don't consent to that. I don't need your consent. I'm going to take possession of that gun anyway. Sir, you might want to talk to a supervisor about that. I don't believe that's a lawful order. Now, is that an argument you're going to win on the side of the road? No, no, and hell no. And could you get arrested or tased or handcuffed or some combination of all the above if you just say, oh, hell no, that's a violation of my constitutional rights? You're not doing what you say you're going to do. No how, no way. Yes. Could you get prosecuted for resisting? Yes. Would that be lawful? In my mind, absolutely not. But that's not an argument you win on the side of the road. So I would ask the officer to please reconsider and perhaps consider calling a supervisor, because I don't believe that's a lawful order and I do not consent. Well, I don't need your consent. That's what I'm going to do. Get out of the car. You have to sit in my car, step out of the vehicle. I'm taking control of the gun that you just told me is on the holster on your hip or whatever it is. By the way, what if they just say, hand me the gun? Do I want to be handling a loaded gun on the side of the road with a police officer outside my car? No. I don't want to have a gun in my hand when the next police officer pulls up. But it's in a holster on my hip. Well, you unholster and hand me that gun. Sir, I'd really prefer not to handle the gun here on the side of the road. I don't consent to you seizing my gun from me. I believe this is unconstitutional. But I would request, may I please get out of the vehicle and you can take the gun out of my holster. I don't want to handle it here on the side of the road. Hell no, do what I'm telling you to do. Whew. Tough spot. I don't want to handle that gun on the side of the road. Say, well, sir, may I clear it before I hand it to you? For safety's sake. I don't know if that officer knows how to clear my gun or not. He or she may be an expert in handling their Glock 17. May not have any idea how to clear my 2011 or SIG 229. They may be the armorer for their department. They may be the head of the SWAT team and teach firearms marksmanship and safety to every other officer on the force. I don't know, but I would ask if I could clear it. Not an optimal situation either. I don't want to be handling a damn gun in the car with officers around. But if that's the position they put you in, but what I would document throughout the process, while not saying hell no at any point, because that's not going to end well on the side of the road, saying I don't consent to this, sir or ma'am, but I'm going to do what you tell me to do at the end of the day. I believe what you're doing is unconstitutional, and I'm reserving my rights. Now, do I want to go into some big lecture on my rights on the side of the road? No, it's not going to get you anywhere and probably just piss them off. But that's the position that poorly trained officers put you in if they're demanding to do something. Now, what if there's some reasonable suspicion that you're a danger to the officer? And they can talk about things like, well, you're sweating when it's 40 degrees outside, or you wouldn't show your hands, or the infamous furtive gestures. Furtive, what's furtive mean? It means something indicating deception or guilt. What's a furtive facial expressions or furtive gestures? The officer can't just say that; he has to describe them. But they can come up with some argument for why, separate from you simply having a gun, you constituted a danger to that officer. But those are all things that can be tested in court. So that's a long damn answer to a really good question we got from the gentleman I believe was Keith. I'm way past the bottom of the hour. We got to take a quick break here for news and to pay the bills. We'll be back for what's probably going to be a pretty short segment here in just a bit. And we'll get to the other folks who are still on the phone line when we come back. By the way, I think that was, in fact, Mike who had that awesome question. I'll go back to the phone lines when we come back. This is Guy Relford on The Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel.
Weatherman upset that Trump cutting some funding to the National Weather Service.
The war on science.
Yeah, tell me more about that science that told me I had to wear a mask made in China that didn't protect me from anything. Tell me about the science of 6 feet apart. Tell me about the science of being in a restaurant. You can sit down and eat with no mask, but you got to stand up and wear a mask. But if you go to can, you got to stand back up and put it on again.
Hammer and Nigel, weekdays 3 till 7 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Fill out Estes Ford is your neighborhood truck dealer. And right now, during the Ford Summer Sales Event, we've got an amazing deal you won't want to miss. 0% APR, 0 down payment, and 0 payments for 90 days. That's 3 big zeros, which adds up to 0 excuses not to drive home in a new Ford today. Every day is truck day. Go anywhere, do anything in a new F-150, starting at just $46,295. Bill Estes Ford. Online at BillEstesFord.com.
Stock BFP 250444. OEC. See dealer for details.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Hot damn! Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea just got harder with Twisted Tea Extreme. The hard iced tea taste you know and love, but with an 8% kick of alcohol. Twisted Tea Extreme is made with real brewed tea, goes down smooth, and brings your daytime drinking to the next level. Just look for the bright yellow cans in the cooler and get ready to dial up the fun. Big flavor, extreme kick. Twisted Tea Extreme. Keep it twisted!
Visit Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
We need each other because every someone needs someone else.
We need each other because when we work together, we can do so much more.
We connect more children with what they need to grow up healthy, educated, and safe. And that's what Child Fund is all about.
Because when you make someone's world better, you make everyone's world better.
Child Fund, because we need each other.
Learn more at childfund.org. That's childfund.org.
This hour on 93 WIBC, powered by Pierce Jewelers in Carmel, designers of fine custom jewelry.
Fox News, I'm Daria Albringer. The FAA is investigating another near miss in the sky.
We plummeted, and there was no warning at all, and it was just a free fall for what felt like 5 to 10 seconds.
Caitlin Burden was on a Southwest Airlines flight from Burbank to Las Vegas when they plunged to avoid a mid-air collision. 2 flight attendants were hurt. 1 person was killed, another hurt in a shooting Friday at the University of New Mexico.
While conducting a sweep of nearby buildings, UNM police located a deceased 14-year-old male inside a room at the Casas del Rio dormitory.
State Police Chief Troy Weisler, the victims are not students and the motive for the shooting remains unclear. Over half the nation is broiling in excessive heat and humidity today. America is listening to Fox News.
Comcast Business High Five Hotline. What's the state of your excitement?
I signed my business up for the 5-year price lock guarantee, and I can't stop high-fiving people. High five!
Okay,
Oh,
deep
high
breath.
Five, high five.
You're in a good place. You signed your business up for 5 years of gig speed internet and advanced security, all on our ultra-reliable network.
Gig speeds and advanced security? I'm so stoked.
Yep, and you get it at a great rate that's locked in for 5 years.
Woo!
The high five is just your body's way of saying, I'm winning.
So this is natural.
High-fiving everyone you see in a state of business savings enthusiasm, totally natural.
Sweet. Thank you. Thank you. High five, everybody. High five.
The Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee is back, but only for a limited time, so sign your business up today.
High five.
Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 9/21/25. New customers only. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
Indianapolis was built for speed, electricity, and nonstop action.
So was Live Golf. So where better to crown a new individual champion?
Leading the pack, Rahm, DeChambeau, and Neiman.
But only one can be the victor. So be at Chatham Hills August 15th to 17th as Live Golf gets even louder.
With a doubleheader concert from Riley Green and Jason Derulo.
Tickets are already flying out of the gate. Hurry and grab yours now at livegolf.com.
No one will love your HVAC system as much as we do. Call Howald Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing for an honest assessment on your current AC system or get a great deal on a new one. Howald Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing, where coming home never felt so good.
Fill your tank. Don't drain your wallet.
Sam's Club lets you save time at the pump with Scan and Go checkout at Sam's Club fuel stations. Just scan the QR code on the pump and pay. Visit your local Sam's Club today.
He's a Second Amendment attorney. He's an NRA certified firearms instructor. He's the gun guy. Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. I've kind of screwed up our timing here a little bit. I went way long in that last segment. But I'll tell you what, Anthony's also been on hold forever. Let's go back to the phone lines. Anthony, again, thanks for your patience too, man. Welcome to the Gun Guy Show.
Yeah, good evening, Guy.
Yes, sir.
Your Twitter posting on Oreo the cat certainly attracted some attention.
Yeah.
Some of it not necessarily desirable.
Yeah.
But I've actually been attacked by some very large dogs before, most notably Weimaraners. Can be rather aggressive, and I managed to handle one of them. Got him off of my ankle, but I had torn it open. And the dog owner was just absolutely livid that he was going to have that dog caged up to make sure it didn't have rabies. He was absolutely livid with me. Anyway, he threatened me, as a matter of fact, on that. But I've also had some Weimaraners that a neighbor had. Fortunately, no longer a neighbor. Kept on getting loose. The kids would let them loose. She'd let them loose. And they actually attacked a Cocker Spaniel that I had at the time and started ripping the Cocker Spaniel apart. And it took me with a 2x4 to finally get him away. And the cop, when he showed up, said, "What on earth did you try to do, intervening with those dogs?" And it was like, well, I wasn't going to let him kill my Cocker Spaniel. And he said, "You were crazy." But basically gave her a warning that if they ever got loose again, they were impounding them. They were really vicious. But, then I've been out in the county roads cycling on a road bike, where you're moving in a pace line with other cyclists at 20 to 25 miles an hour. Carrying a firearm while doing that is not really feasible. So I do second the motion on carrying pepper spray, which some of us started doing, and we would encounter some very aggressive dogs out in the corn and bean fields, out in the middle of the corn and bean fields. And every time you call the sheriff, they go, "Oh, they're not our dogs. We don't own any dogs. They're not our dogs." And you'd see them come right around from where their barn is every single time you rode by. So what we found out was that the pepper spray, or whatever it was you call it, yeah, and you need one that can give you a stream, not just a big wide spray. You need one to give a stream.
Yeah, well,
you
raised a good point about OC spray, which I call it, and I have some that I have little pocket ones that are called POM, P-O-M, which I always laughably say stands for Pocket Full of Misery. And those just can sit right there in your front pocket of your jeans or shorts or whatever it might be. And then I have a larger canister for the map well in my car from a company called Fox. And one thing I really like about each of those is they come out in a stream that projects some good distance. I'm talking, 15 feet or so, that comes out in a steady stream. That's exactly what you want. One, so you can aim it, and so you're not just getting a light, light particles floating around in the air. You can aim it in some concentration. And by the way, I don't know if you know how to do this. I've taken some courses in the use of OC spray. You do it's called a Z pattern. You go right above the eyes. Here I'm talking mainly about a human, but I don't know why it would be any different on a dog. Above the eyes, so it drips down into the eyes, then down across the eyes on the down slash of the Z, and then right across their nose, essentially, in that Z pattern. So across the top of the eyes, down across their eyes, and lower, and then back across their nose to right below their nose. Now they're breathing it through their nose. They've got it in their eyes. They can't see, can't breathe. They're salivating and tearing dramatically, and that's going to incapacitate most folks. I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and take a break here. We'll be back, and I'll tell you what, Mike's been on hold too. We will make some time and get to Mike when we come back. Let's take our last break here on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC.
It's another week of this.
There's a very good chance that we'll have a settlement.
And another day for this.
Water rose 28 foot in 45 minutes.
Plus, another possibility of this.
Monitor the weather condition, the National Weather Service.
That's why another update is just minutes away.
Start saying we're not taking this anymore.
Just another day. Not with all this happening. Every day.
Happening now.
93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone.
Done.
By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Home sales are good, just not great. So many homes have been properly marketed or just sitting on the market. Hiring the wrong sales agent will cost you time and money. Hire the expert who maximizes equity and sells fast. That's Mark Dietel. Maybe you want a fast, guaranteed home sale, but you don't want to give up hard-earned equity to do it. Mark Dietel is the only real estate expert trusted and recommended with the sale of your home. Mark Dietel guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Just pick your move date. There are no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. Kevin and Angela in Greenwood said the big home was too much, and it was time for Dad to move into a maintenance-free community, but we needed cash from the home to fund the change. We reached out to the Mark Dietel team, who helped with the entire process, from selling belongings to prepping the home for maximum value. We went on the market and sold for $5,000 over asking price in less than 7 days. Call the local Indianapolis agent, trusted and recommended, the agent who guarantees your home sold or he'll buy it. Call Mark Dietel, 317-755-4232. Get all the details or go online to markdietel.com. That's Mark Dietel, D-I-E-T-E-L, markdietel.com.
From marshmallow festivals to fireworks on the shore. No matter where you're headed this summer, Hubler's got you covered for 100,000 miles. During Hubler's Freedom to Drive, shop any of our 13 locations and choose from Chevys, Fords, Toyotas, GMCs, Buicks, Nissans, Acuras, Mazdas, Hondas, and more. Over 2,000 vehicles. All makes, all models, certified vehicles, luxury vehicles, even the hard-to-find ones. Plus, every Hubler Q-certified vehicle is covered by a 128-point vehicle inspection and a free Carfax history report.
'Cause Hubler's got you covered.
No matter where you're headed this summer, Hubler's got you covered for 100,000 miles during our Freedom to Drive. Visit drivehubler.com or any of our 13 locations.
Cover me!
Warranty on select models less than 9 years old.
Pat Sullivan here for my friends at Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Summer brings fun in the sun, but also sneaky underground root growth that could wreak havoc on your main line. Have signs of a clog? Who to call is a no-drainer. Call my friends at Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. During the month of July, Hope is offering a $49 mainline snaking with a free camera inspection. Call Hope Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling today at 641-HOPE. That's 641-HOPE.
Less than 3 weeks until the golf outing, powered by Franciscan Health. Join us Thursday, August 7th at the Legends Golf Club in Franklin for a perfect day on the course with your crew. Easy swings, cold drinks, and good vibes. Spots are going fast at 1075thefan.com.
Second to none on the Second Amendment. This is The Gun Guy with Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
And welcome back. I'm Guy Relford on the Gun Guy Show on 93 WIBC. A little bit of a short segment here, but I'll tell you what, we've had also Mike on the phone for quite some time. Mike, thank you as well for your patience. You got a question for us?
I do. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
This is probably an unusual question. I've been wanting to buy a pistol or something for home defense for many, many years, but I just can't seem to bring myself to buy a 9mm. I think, my thought is I'd like to stop an intruder, make an intruder go away, but, the thought of killing an intruder, I don't know, that bothers me. So I guess my question is, can a 22 or something a little less than a 9mm be used for home defense? Would you recommend it? And what kind of gun, what kind of ammunition would make that effective?
Yeah, Mike, it's really not an unusual question at all. I get something similar all the time, and even more so when I was teaching my actual shooting classes a lot more often. Can a 22 be an effective home defense firearm? Well, listen, I mean, the first rule of home defense with a firearm is to have a firearm. And there are people who have trouble firing or otherwise operating larger caliber firearms because of weight or recoil or whatever other issues, who are certainly more comfortable shooting at 22. And at the same time, would I recommend it? No, I wouldn't recommend it, only because what you want is something that's effective to stop the threat. And listen, 22s, I've seen many different articles saying that 22s are actually responsible for killing more people than any other single caliber in the U.S. I don't know if that's true or not. There's a line from My Blue Heaven with Steve Martin where he talks about, the mob uses them for assassinations. And I won't quote it. People may find it a little off color, but essentially there's not much dry cleaning involved was the quote from Steve Martin in a very good movie, by the way. But you want to stop the threat. And there are too many reported examples of people being shot with 22s a lot. Multiple times, and still continuing to do bad things for some period of time. And I understand your reluctance to take a human life. Listen, I consider myself a Christian. I don't want to take anybody's life. I would pray I never have to do that. But if somebody breaks in my home, it's time to stop the threat. And I would not want to have to rely on a 22 to stop a threat. And that's why I would not recommend it. But that bears more discussion than time we have. But that's my answer to a very understandable question. That's it for this week's Gun Guy Show. Hope you enjoyed it. We hope you come back. This is Guy Relford on 93 WIBC.
You know exactly why you need to remodel that